So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So guys, Manny Pacquiao's made some comments. He's made some comments that the Amir Khan fight was very, very close. But he didn't disclose the reasons why the fight didn't happen. This was a fight that I wanted to see badly. You know, that and the Amir against Floyd. And unfortunately, I don't understand why the fights never materialized. I don't know whether you guys probably know something I don't. But those would have been massive fights. They would have been huge, huge fights, because I feel like a lot of the guys that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd fought, barring your Mosleys and Cottos that were bringing something to the table in terms of fan base, Amir Khan would have been another fighter that would have actually brought something to the table in terms of, because Amir Khan is also a fighter that has a huge following and a huge fan base. And generally, when Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight, they generally sell it out themselves. Whereas Amir Khan also had a huge fan base. You know, although he wasn't as good as those two in terms of, you know, ability, in terms of boxing. However, he had a huge fan base. And I would say, you know, he was a massive, massive star in his own right. So it was quite surprising why the fights with Mayweather or Pacquiao never happened, because he would have been a huge name and a huge fight for those guys financially, because Khan would have brought a lot more to the table than some of the guys. Like, for example, Pacquiao fought Jesse Vargas, Jeff Horn. You know, some of those guys that he fought, even Bradley, for example, I don't think they had as big a profile, as big a name as Khan. So I don't know. And even like Mayweather fought Maidana, fought Robert Guerrero, Victor. You know, these guys didn't have the profile of Khan. Khan was a much bigger name and bigger star, and would have been a huge money fight for Pacquiao. But Pacquiao in an interview today said the Khan fight was very close, and he is looking to fight in the UK. I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Khan down the road in like some kind of, I won't say it would be an exhibition, because I think both are professional fighters, so I don't think it'd be exhibition. But I don't really see that fight happening in the UK now. I think if Pacquiao 5 years ago wanted a fight in the UK, the Khan fight was obviously the fight that would have made logical sense, because that would have filled out probably Wembley, if I'm honest with you. I think Pacquiao Khan would have filled out Wembley in Khan's prime. And obviously when Pacquiao was what he was 5 years ago, even though it wasn't Pacquiao's prime, he was still at a very high level and would have been favoured to beat Amir, even though Amir was, I think Amir 5-6 years ago was on the slide as well. But he was still good, you know, and Pacquiao was still good. Although he wasn't the best Pacquiao, he was still good. I just don't understand why that fight didn't come to fruition. I don't know whether you guys know more. You know, there were several reports at times that the fight was done and then it didn't happen. I didn't understand, because I just thought the fights were so big. Do you know what I mean? I think the fight was so big with Amir and Floyd and Pacquiao. I didn't understand. I think the timing probably wasn't right. And I think the fight, here's the problem. I think the Amir Khan Pacquiao fight was so big that I think Crawford fight's the same, where sometimes a lot of people, because here's the thing, where you got guys like Jesse Vargas, those guys' demands in terms of purse isn't that high. Now, when you've got Khan and Pacquiao, both guys earn a lot of money. Khan doesn't earn as much as Pacquiao, but he still earns a lot of money compared to your average boxer, you know, compared to your other boxers out there. You know, where Pacquiao could fight Vargas. Vargas might accept 3-4 million for a payday, whereas Khan gets a lot more than that. You know, he makes a lot of money himself. So he's probably looking at it and thinking, he's looking to get paid as well. So then you've got guys, basically what it is that, will that fight generate huge pay-per-view numbers in America? Probably not. I don't think the fight was that big in America, but in the UK it would have been massive. So what you needed for a fight like Khan Pacquiao, you needed probably an investor in Saudi Arabia or the Middle East to come up and put up the money. Unfortunately, at that time, I don't feel like Saudi Arabia were fully into boxing like they are now. I feel like if they were where they're at now, I think that fight would happen. And I still think that fight might happen. I think Manny Pacquiao could fight Amir Khan in Saudi Arabia still. Whether he would be interested now, who knows? Because the fight's kind of like lost its appeal. It was once a very big fight. Unfortunately, the fights just didn't come to fruition. I'm pretty sure a lot of Pacquiao fans wanted to see fight Khan as well back in the day. They thought that would have been a great fight. And it would have been a big event. It would have been a big event. And it saddens me that Amir never got to fight either Floyd or Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao said and now Manny Pacquiao's come out and said the fight was very close, but he didn't want to disclose why. He said he didn't want to disclose why the fight couldn't come to fruition. But that means that a lot of people used to give Amir a lot of stick, saying that Amir says the fight was close and he's lying, this, that, and the other. And now Manny Pacquiao's come out and said the fight was very close. Now, I don't know what time, because we heard about Manny Pacquiao and Amir so many times. So I don't know which time he meant the fight was close. I think once the fight actually got announced, if you guys can remember. I can't remember when it was. I think Manny actually announced that he was fighting Amir Khan. You know, I think did they both announce it, or did Amir just announce it? I can't remember, but apparently the fight was announced one time. It was announced, and Manny Pacquiao even said, I think he confirmed that the fight looks like it was on. But then it fell through, and Bob Arum came out and said, oh, well, who's going to put the money up? And the fight just fell through. I think that was the problem. I think money was a big issue, because I think it was both guys were looking to get paid, and was there enough money? I don't know. I think definitely now, I think in Saudi Arabia, I think they would definitely take that fight. Even though it's not the fight it was 6 years ago, it's still, I think it would be picked up because of the names of both guys. It's not a fight in America, because I don't think Amir has... Manny Pacquiao obviously still is big in America, but Amir Khan has lost his appeal in America. And even in the UK now, people look at him as a past fighter. He's not in his prime. So I think if that fight was to happen now, I think it would have to happen in Saudi Arabia. It'd have to happen somewhere like that. It's not going to be that big in the UK, or that big in America at all, because I think Amir's not as big as in those places as he once was. Some people, murmur Josh Taylor, that could potentially be a fight for Pacquiao at 140 if he wants to fight in the UK. Josh Taylor isn't a big enough name. And what I mean by that is that Josh Taylor doesn't have... He doesn't have a big enough name for Pacquiao to be interested in that fight. You know, is Pacquiao going to be interested in going down to 140? Maybe for the belts, possibly. But remember, Manny Pacquiao wants to fight in the UK, but then he's also hinting at retirement. You know, Manny Pacquiao is also hinting that he may retire after this fight. Ugas might be his last fight. You know, although he's now said he wants to fight in the UK. I don't know whether he was saying that because the fight's on Sky. I don't know. But really, there isn't really an opponent out there for him that makes financial sense. Because let's not forget, Manny's at the stage of his career where it's not about belts or anymore. It's about a lot of money. And the reason why he took the Spence fight, because it was a legacy fight, but not just that, it was also a huge money fight. Josh Taylor and Pacquiao, it's not a big fight. You know, it might be a big fight in the UK. People might get him a good pack. But Josh Taylor's not even that big in the UK. Although he's a very good fighter, he's not as big a star as he should be here in the UK. Like, not many other casuals know who he is. Like, I could speak to my friends that are not really into boxing. They won't know who Josh Taylor is. Whereas Amir Khan, for example, when he was at his peak, he had casuals knew who he was. He was a household name in the UK. Amir Khan is still a household name in the UK. Like, you could go anywhere to any city, everybody knows who Amir Khan is. And he has a huge, like Joshua, Fury, these are like Khan, these are household names in the UK. Like, you could go anywhere in any city and people know who they are. Josh Taylor, unfortunately, doesn't have that appeal. And when it comes to like pay-per-view buys and revenue and that Pacquiao, that's a big thing to Pacquiao, because Pacquiao, to go in a ring, right, he wants to be paid huge. And a Taylor-Pacquiao fight at this stage isn't really a big fight. And would Pacquiao really be interested in that fight? Would Pacquiao really be interested in a Taylor fight? That's not taking anything away from Taylor. I'm not sure Pacquiao would be interested, you know. But if he's talking about fighting in the UK, that's probably the most credible guy. Because at the minute, you know, you'd have to say Khan and Brook are well gone. And Ben's not at that level yet. So, you know, Taylor would be the more credible fight in terms of competitive fight. But in terms of if he was looking for, you know, a huge payday, then the fight with Khan, I still think maybe Khan-Pacquiao may be bigger than Taylor than Pacquiao in the UK even. Because Khan, like I said, is a bigger name here in the UK. So I still think Khan-Pacquiao would be bigger than Taylor-Pacquiao. There's also that narrative there as well. It's just the fact that Amir's past his best. But I think the fight would probably generate more money in Saudi Arabia. You know, but if Pacquiao wants to fight in the UK, then Taylor's probably the more credible fight, because Taylor, like I said, is an undisputed 140-pound champion in his prime. But again, Pacquiao's 42, 43. Is he really? I don't know. I don't know what you would want. And I reckon the Khan fight is obviously something that he's talked about it's been talked about for a long time. So I think Pacquiao himself would probably more interested in that himself. And also, he'd probably look at it as an easier fight. Does he really want to fight Taylor? What does he have to gain if Taylor moves up to welterweight? What does he gain? You know, and most importantly, surely if he's going to fight again after Ugas, he's going to be going for Spence. You know, how many fights is Pacquiao going to have? I know Pacquiao's talking about fighting in the UK, but how many fights is Manny going to have? You know, he's at the end. Like, people are talking about elections next year, so I don't know if he wants to fight in the UK. When's he going to fight in the UK, you know? Is it going to be an exhibition? You know, we just don't know. We just don't know, because right now, like I said, we have to, with Manny Pacquiao, we have to take it fight by fight basis, because we just don't know what, you know, you know, he's going to do. If he loses to Ugas, that might be his career over. So, you know, again, we've got to take it as fight by fight basis with Manny. But again, I would have loved to see the Amir Khan fight. Oh, 5-6 years ago, oh my goodness, that would have been on top of my hit list. That would have been one of the biggest fights in boxing. Pacquiao would have been, or Pacquiao-Khan would have been one of the biggest fights in boxing at the time. In 2015, 14, 16, I think it would have been one of the biggest fights. Personally, I think that should have been, instead of Khan-Canelo, Khan-Pacquiao, would have been a great fight, man. Would have been a great fight at that time, you know. I would have favoured Pacquiao, but I think Amir would have caused Pacquiao a lot of trouble as well. It would have been a great fight, man. We didn't get it, man. We didn't get it. This is what I mean. Boxing always lets us down. There's some great fights that should have happened but don't happen. And Khan-Pacquiao is that one. Khan-Floyd is another one. You know, Floyd-Pacquiao didn't happen at the right time, but at least we got it. But it always disappointed me that Khan never got Floyd or Pacquiao, to be honest. It was sad, really, because really, I think they would have been huge fights, mega fights. It would have been big. And like I said, even if the fight might have not been... In America in 2014-15, the fight with Pacquiao or Floyd would have been massive. But in the UK, those fights would have sold out Wembley. They would have sold out any stadium in the UK. If Floyd had fought Khan in the UK or Pacquiao had fought Khan in the... They would have sold out Wembley. They would have been huge. You know? Especially when it got announced that they were supposed to fight. I think it was Saudi Arabia that they were initially saying the fight was going to happen. But if the fight did at that time happen in the UK, it would have been massive. Guys, it would have been huge. You know, there would have been a lot of interest in that fight. Unfortunately, it just didn't come to fruition. And I felt for Amir, because obviously he wanted those fights with Pacquiao and Floyd. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out, you know. It didn't work out. Maybe it just didn't, you know, like as Pacquiao said, it was close, but it just couldn't come to fruition, you know. Could have been anything, money, you know, people pulling out. Like we heard Crawford-Pacquiao was close, but then Bob Arum says, you know, the investors pulled out because of the pandemic or whatever. So it could have been the same thing there, but unfortunate, you know, sometimes great fights don't happen. And I think Pacquiao against Amir Khan would have been a great fight. It would have been a great fight. It would have been a fight that would have got the fans excited as well. Like, you know, the hype and stuff. Although it wouldn't have been any trash talk between the two, because they're both respectful guys, and they're both friends as well. Let's be honest, they're both friends. Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao are friends. So yeah, disappointing that the fight didn't happen. But anyway, you know. What do you guys make of it? Do you think, is this a fight that 5-6 years ago you guys would like to have seen? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.